Thank you. Mr. Vickery, let's try and play the game of follow the data. So we have SCL, we have GSR, we have Cambridge Analytica. Now, GSR sets up this Facebook app for scientific research, gathers 86 some million profiles, and then for a pittance, probably the price of two Cokes, sells all that data to Cambridge Analytica. Facebook becomes aware of it and asks them to delete the information, and they say they do. And then this company, Aggregated IQ, which is a completely unknown company from Victoria that doesn't even have its own website, suddenly gets 40% of the Brexit Leave budget to run the Leave campaign. Would you be able to tell us if that Facebook information that was scraped is what is in the Aggregate IQ's database?
I'd like to dispel some misunderstandings that may exist and further this along. The Facebook data that was scraped through Facebook apps, as well as surveys that were conducted over Mechanical Turk, which is an Amazon offering that people can do. There were a lot of different ways GSR was gathering data and tying it all back into Facebook profiles. That Facebook data wouldn't necessarily be needed anymore after the modeling, the analysis, the behavioral tools have been developed using that data. Once you understand the interactions and the way to make people do certain things with certain messaging, the raw data from Facebook can be purged and you don't need it anymore. You can then take that framework and use it with more election-based voting data that you start to build up and get the desired outcomes because you've already used those frameworks on the social media data. So no, I have not come across what is obviously the Facebook data in question within this repository. That's not to say it never existed, but yes, that's the status.
But you said it could have also come from Amazon, the information?
Well, I want to be clear that Amazon's Mechanical Turk system is a way to have people fill out surveys and pay them for it. And that is one of the methods that GSR employed as they were gathering this type of data. They tied it back into the Facebook profile, but Amazon's Mechanical Turk was a vector used.
Okay, so what is the connection then? I mean, Cambridge Analytica and Aggregate IQ claim to be completely separate. And again, Aggregate IQ gets 40% of the Leave budget. Christopher Wiley says that they were basically used as an electioneering money laundering scheme through Cambridge Analytica as a franchise. What in the database connects the two?
Cambridge Analytica and Aggregate IQ? Yeah. Well, one of the earliest connections is the fact that reflected in the code and the commentary from the employees is that they got the original software for the Ripon platform from a server owned by under the name of Alexander Nix, who was the recently departed CEO over there at Cambridge Analytica SCL Group. So there is that direct tie-in. One of the apps that was developed by Aggregate IQ that is a phone community outreach and voter kind of influencing messaging platform, it operated on a domain known as dclisten.com that is also registered under the name Alexander Nix. So there is plenty of examples of resources and assets flowing between these two groups.
And so Alexander Nix, who's with SCL and on the board at Cambridge, it's his website that Aggregate IQ is listed as the only website they had when they were given 40% of the Brexit vote leave. Wasn't it an SCL Aggregate IQ website?
The only website that they had up at the time? I don't know the history of that website, no. I just don't know.
Okay, there's been talk about Aggregate IQ's involvement in many elections, and there's been some very disturbing allegations from Christopher Wiley about a culture of illegality. One of those allegations was the illegal collection of raw user data from ISPs in Trinidad and Tobago. Were you able to confirm any of that?
the Trinidad and Tobago allegations.
With ISPs. Did you not mention that on on Twitter?
I believe the evidence to show that those allegations are factual exists here. It's not in a final conclusion phase, but yes, there is a Trinidad and Tobago project in here with personally identifiable information of a large deal of people.
So you can say that AIQ, that database, had collected raw data from ISPs in Trinidad and Tobago?
Whether they got it from ISPs or other means is not definitive, but yes.
Okay, let me rephrase that then. So that there was data that could have affected the elections in Trinidad and Tobago that was in the AIQ database.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I'm concerned about the issue of that you mentioned about cryptocurrency, these ad networks they were setting up, because one of the things that Christopher Wiley stated was that the real money wasn't in elections. The real money was after. He's talked about the ability to influence governments if you've got the right government in. When Aggregate IQ, does it look like this database is being used for other commercial purposes that would have furthered their interests?
The potential is there. I want to kind of emphasize that I see Aggregate IQ as more of a division of a larger, entity. That you could think of them more like a development department within a larger corporation.
And who is that larger corporation? Who is that larger corporation? Sorry, what?
I would say that corporation is likely to be thought of as SCL. I see their goals and endpoints aligning quite, in parallel.
Thank you.